Well, if I had to pick one policy, I would probably go with the policy that was proposed by Marco Rubio. So his policy is, number one, secure the border. Because the reason why he left the Gang of 8 bill was because it didn't have any sufficient border control provisions to stem the growth of illegal immigration 10 years and 20 years down the line. So that would be the first step. Then the second step is for anyone here who isn't a criminal and is here illegally, there will be like a long-term 10-year process where they could acquire legal status, not citizenship, but legal status. And one of the provisions will also be that they can't collect any welfare benefits or any other public benefits. They would have to stay and work or get an education. And once they do that, I feel that they could stay and be productive members of American society just like anyone else. But unless the border is secured, this problem will just continue in the long term. And also one more provision I would add is to fix legal immigration. We need to reprioritize the way we bring people in. Right now the system is based around family unification, but I feel for the best of America we need to bring in workers who are high skilled and also like, for example, if you're coming to an American university, you should have an inside track to staying in America because you're qualified, you're educated, and you're also assimilated to American culture, and that's perfect. That's exactly what we would want.
What does that mean again? 30 seconds. All right. All policies are irrelevant to immigration as long as our government doesn't encourage assimilation to American values, in my opinion. Because first of all, we're Americans first, then we're hyphenated Americans second. Enough of this. You're this, you're that, you're this, we're all Americans. That's the end of it. That is the policy that should be implemented by our government and in our public schools, not how we can accommodate all these. We already see how that's working out in Europe. Am I done? All right.
He didn't leave the Gang of 8 bill because he thought that there wasn't enough enforcement. He left the Gang of 8 bill because he realized that politically it was hot water. I mean, I don't agree with Jeff Sessions of Alabama, but I do know one thing about Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions has been a staunch opponent of immigration reform. He's a very staunch conservative, and there's one thing I know is if I believe somebody in the Republican Party tells me that they were for immigration reform or against immigration reform, the go-to authority is Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions has always voted against immigration reform, so Rubio tried hot potato. He tried being the savior of the party by appealing to Hispanics, then things got too hot in the water, he bailed out. And that's what it was. Now that he's artfully trying to do it differently, that's another thing. But I would say ask Jeff Sessions and ask Ted Cruz about this stuff. They're much more conservative than I am, and I believe them when they say they don't want immigration reform. But let's go back to the issue of immigration reform. You know, we talk about numbers, we talk about all this stuff, but at the end of the day, immigration reform is a human value. We're talking about families here. You know, we talk about that like there's some strangers. They're our next door neighbors, they're our brothers and they're our sisters. And these people come here to work. You know, I used to work in downtown LA a lot of times helping a lot of these immigrant families. I met an immigrant family, 4 people living in a car. The parents worked 2 jobs, they were undocumented, the kids lived in the car, they didn't have access to any health insurance. And for them it wasn't about welfare, for them it wasn't about how they milk the system, for them it was about the promise of America. The promise of America was that in this country, if you work hard, you can do anything you want. They came here without a penny to their name, without any place they could stay, without anywhere they can call home, but they came to the idea, to the opportunity that in this country, everything is possible. Because everything is possible. So yes, I want to see a more immigration system that's more humane. Because there's no way that we're going to get rid of 15 million people, and there's no way that we tell them, yes, pay a fine, but you don't have legal status. Because then we're just kidding ourselves. We're making a second subhuman class of people there. We're saying, going from the full shadow to half the shadow. Immigration is a human issue. Let's stop talking about like there's some parasites. There are neighbors and their sisters, and we should have a humane solution to it. Thank you.
Immigration is what made this country so great, and I think that we should be very thankful for a lot of the immigrants in this country. We have over 45 million immigrants, more so than any other nation in the world by far. We should be thankful because that has contributed to the prosperity in this country. A little bit of facts here. 28% of immigrants start businesses. That's more than double the rate of the natives, the native-born Americans. So, and then also, immigrant-owned businesses contribute to $775 billion in sales and over $126 billion in payrolls. So contrary to the Republican narrative, immigrants don't take jobs, they create jobs. And so we should be thankful they add on to the economy, and we should encourage immigration. That being said, you go back to 1913, prior to 1913, you ask any economist, every single economist would tell you, of course we should have open borders, without a doubt. But what we have seen since then is the rise of the welfare state. And so I understand the Republican narrative, that because of the welfare state, immigration thus becomes a problem. So you're balancing between those two narratives.